Hello, this is Chris Bratt from Eurogamer, joined by Paul Kilduff-Taylor, the maker of Frozen Synapse 2, and amongst other Frozen games. And yeah, we're going to be taking a look at 2 today, and it looks rather shiny. Hello, Paul.
Hello, Chris. It's wonderful to be here on the show floor at Rest with Frozen Synapse 2.
Hence the slight murmur in the background that you can probably hear.
It adds ambience. I think
Absolutely.
It's an indie game in its natural environment.
Of course.
People are going to appreciate that. So what we're looking at here is the procedurally generated city, and this is kind of the big marquee feature of Frozen Synapse 2. It's the major addition that is really going to add an enormous amount to the game. So we think we're the first game with a procedurally generated city where you can go into any building on the map. You can also have a tactical encounter at any point along these roads as well, so the whole city is completely open. So there's a huge variety of different things. Every building has a purpose and an owner. Now these rather shiny, beautiful red buildings here, they actually happen to be hotels
Right,
at the
okay.
moment. And that's just because
Is that Monopoly inspired?
very, very possibly. I don't think property ownership will be a big part of the game. But
Right,
yeah, they're hotels. We're just testing out different ways of displaying information on the map. So just to stress to everyone watching this again, this is a super early version,
Sure.
perhaps stupidly early, kind of almost darkly early to show. But what we want to do is really sort of explain what we're doing and get some of the ideas out there.
I think people tend to react well to that. So.
I think that the Eurogamer audience, may I say, is incredibly
Oh wow,
discerning.
that's how you're going to play this.
Yeah,
Okay.
That's what we're going for here. So you can see here, we have car parks. What our artist Rich Whitelock has done is this amazing effect where the building actually reflects a 2D surface. So you can see sort of down into what things are doing. But let me just explain a bit about what you're seeing here in general. So within the game, think XCOM Apocalypse. You're sent into the city to investigate an incursion force that's coming in. Mysterious force, you don't quite know what's happening. But within the city as well, there are other factions, and these are all AI controlled. It's going to be a bit like Civilization Alpha Centauri. They're all going to be, inverted commas, playing the game along with you. So they all have their own priorities and so on. So just kind of scrolling through this list, we have police, we have the Justice Authority, we have the now infamous Parcel Tossers, who are the logistics faction. That was a placeholder name originally, but it's gained a little bit of traction early on, so we'll probably keep them in there. And the one we're going to have a quick look at is the banking faction here. So we can just bring up their info, and this is all, sort of super debuggy placeholder.
Sure.
We can see that they own 2 banks in the city. So let's just take a little bit of a look. At our economy. This is the kind of stuff that you have to be doing in the game, is managing your income and outgoing.
Sure.
So it might help us out a little bit if we can go and rob a bank. So let's find a bank. This is a bank. We can have a quick look in here. We can see there's quite a lot of units in that bank.
Sure.
But we're feeling pretty confident, so we're going to go and send a squad here. So we'll just go through our list of squads. So in the game, you'll be able to have as many different squads as you like.
Right.
The composition of those will be determined by the mercenaries that you hire in the mercenary market.
What's the incentive to switch between squads rather than have like one that's like the best setup?
Right. So you might have different squads for different purposes with different unit compositions in them, but also you want to be really active on the map doing lots of things. When you come to defending the incursions and going out to stop those, you'll want to have squads positioned around the map so that you get there first and catch them. There's going to be a whole sort of political, social system around which faction gets to encounter the incursions and get the loot from them, so you want to be best placed to do that. So I'm just going to advance time a little bit now, and a few things will probably happen on the map. We can see some squads moving around. In this build, all of the factions are extremely active and very kind of anxious, so we're just kind of working on faction interaction and planning that now. So things are going quite well. We see that an incursion has actually been detected in the city. So one of the things you can do in the game is just respond to these action tokens here and kind of do what you want, but we're not that interested in that right now. We'll find the squad that we sent out here, and we'll track them through the city. Eventually this will all be beautifully smooth moving. You'll have to take my assertion on that one, and also you'll be able to zoom down into the city in that 3D view that you showed in the trailer to give a better thing there. So this squad has encountered another squad on the roads there. Again, we're going to ignore that for now. So faction interaction stuff is going to be really important. When you encounter a squad, you might be able to call up the faction leader and say, hey, why should I let your squad go through here? Cause antagonism like that. Okay, so we arrived at that base now. Again, when you get to a base, you can do a lot of things. You can loiter, which I think...
Let Banker Diamond know we're here seems like an interesting option right now.
Right, yes, you can say hi, we're outside your bank. You can technically try and persuade them to leave their own buildings.
Amazing.
And there will be situations which, if you're really intimidating, you might be able to do that. So we won't do that now, we're just going to attack them, and we're going to go in and try and get some money from this bank. Okay, so here we are inside this bank, and this level is one that people will have seen in the trailer, and it's a mix of handcrafted stuff. So this was all designed by our level designer Robin, and eventually there'll be some random generated stuff around. So we want to have some hero buildings, as we're calling them, that are sort of instantly recognizable, that you might see sort of playthrough to playthrough. And what I'm going to do here is, while I'm talking, I'm just going to get these units moving in, and one of the things I'm going to demonstrate here is the stealth mechanics that we've introduced in this version of the game.
Okay, so right now the Diamond Brothers, the bank security doesn't know any of your squad are here.
That's absolutely right.
Which is different than the last game, right? When they would immediately be heading towards you.
So what we used in single player in the last game is what we call a situation. So you spawn straight into the middle of something, and here, as you said, there's a lot of stuff involved with infiltrating buildings and making incursions into them. And yeah, you can see the units patrolling around there.
Sure.
And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to try and play really badly and get spotted.
Right.
Which is kind of, these patrols it's a little bit of a challenge sometimes because they're quite preoccupied with their own business.
I do remember when you briefly showed this to me at GDC and failed to get spotted for quite a while, which is quite amusing.
Almost certainly going to happen again. So up here we have, this is a safe room, so if there's a VIP or a hostage in this level, they'll probably appear in that safe room.
Okay.
And down here we've got some money in this beautiful placeholder text here, which is my favourite thing in the world. So what we'll see there is hopefully a bit of a reaction from the units when you do get spotted.
So do you really need to clear the level to make it out with that? Like, can you just go for the objective in this situation?
Yes, and also when you come into a level, you can change your plan. So if you spot some money, it's really easy to access, and you want to just grab that and get out, you can. If there's someone who happens to be there, you want to go assassinate them, you can do that as well. Also, if another squad is there, you might get some kind of weird multi-squad interaction perhaps, or you might have sort of an excessive number of defenders, that kind of thing.
All right, so they're going to peek around this corner, and
I think you may have correctly predicted again that the patrol routes on this will cause me not to get spotted. But that's cool. Normally, if I send a guy around here,
that looks like a bad move to do, which is in this situation.
Yeah.
System primed.
Okay, so we got. Oh man! As you went around the corner, the enemy left.
We did up there, but we need one more turn to
that's definitely going to
see
be
the
okay, cool.
Yeah, actually, before I commit that turn, balancing this kind of stuff is really interesting,
right?
Because you don't want it to be too over the top so you instantly get spotted by an exterior patrol, but you also have to make sure that the interior patrols are sensible and you can't sort of waltz through as I can a little bit in this demo.
Yeah, absolutely.
This demo was really set up to sort of be quite charitable.
Okay, feeling really good about getting spotted this turn, Paul.
We did get spotted. Okay, we actually won that encounter and that one, which was kind of amazing. So by being excessively bold, we caught them by surprise. So that's
you
pretty
see
good,
that, but those angles are wonderful. Like you see how he was
right.
like hugging the wall.
We're also very close to this cover here, so that's nice. So I just want to show the main point of this is to show the reaction from the units.
Oh yeah, right.
Cool. The whole level changes, and they're kind of going to rush into their defensive positions around the money. And also up here, you'll be able to see some change in defensive behavior. And the reason why I quite laboriously illustrated that point, Chris, is that it's got a really big change in how the levels work from the original game. So there's a whole new, different approach to things. And you'll need to be thinking about units. Maybe in some situations it will be good to have slightly less powerful, faster units that you can sneak in to get to locations quickly. Maybe get in here, do a quick extraction in this zone out here, so you can really pop in and out.
So is it like trying to position your units for the moment that encounter starts? Is that like an important?
That's going to be a big part of the gameplay and something that's kind of more interesting on these things. Just to quickly point out, we've got this water and rocks and some trees there. You can't see the trees that well in this build, but we're going to be doing outdoor areas, things like parks as well. Okay. Some people were playing the game here and they loaded a park and it generated quite a nice looking park. I didn't even know it was capable of doing that yet. So actually things are kind of a little bit more further along than I would expect. So here what I just wanted to show really quickly is one of the new unit types in the game, and that is this grenade unit here. So grenades, as you might remember from the previous game, will be able to bounce off walls. So I'll just test this grenade.
Nice.
That's some new art on the classic grenades there. We do have smoke grenades and also poison gas grenades available in the game, so there'll be a whole new raft of things there. We're looking at things like flamethrower units, mine layers, melee units, stuff like that. So expect a whole raft of new units.
What is it about the original Frozen Synapse that you like most wanted to change? What are the things that you look back at that game and go, oh man, if we had some more time, like, or say we were making a sequel?
For us, the major thing really was, well, for me personally, kind of the realism of the buildings. So actually what you've got here is, this is a skirmish generated from the old Frozen Synapse 1 tech. And you can see how, this is kind of interesting and there's interesting shapes here, but it doesn't feel evocative, it doesn't feel like a real place. And something I'll show you is a little bit how we've changed the generation to really wanted to give context to the player actions. So having this big metagame, this big map, you deciding where you're going to do your own missions, and the new types of building and so on, that's all about like it being meaningful when you go somewhere.
And you can do that and also go down the like heavy procedurally generated route. Is that those two things can
we wanted, so Ian was really interested in extending the procedural stuff sort of way up to that metagame. We've done procedural tactics and sort of procedural sort of micro instance stuff, but can you do procedural stuff on a big level and let AI fight itself, and can that be interesting? We really think it can. So we're back in the city now, and one of the things that I would like to do is pick a genuinely random building and see if the generator can work.
I bet you say this every time.
Now,
and
I
there's
do.
just one building that you know.
No. It's genuinely random. And what happened when I did a demo for another media outlet who shall remain nameless?
Okay.
They managed to crash the game 7 times in a row.
Excellent.
With their building selections. So Chris, I'm going to lay down the gauntlet if you'd like to pick a building for me.
Is there any particular shape that makes
you can pick a weird shape. These are quite weird. That's a weird shape there.
I sort of like, this one here.
Going
This
for
one.
this
I like the
that one here.
the right angle triangle.
That is a corporate office, very
Okay.
swanky. So we'll just interact with that and we'll see what the generator does.
Oh man. See?
Here we are.
I didn't crush your game.
In the level, I know, right? The unnamed outlet will be should be ashamed of themselves.
IGN.
Thanks, Chris. I was trying to maintain political neutrality. We call it the Dan Stapleton effect. There we go. Right. So hopefully this should be. I think this is a smoke grenade unit. It is, right.
Nice.
So what you can see here is that the exact shape of the explosion there is deforming to the terrain. So you can really drop this into specific situations. One of the things we really want to be accurate with everything in the game. So we don't like sort of fuzzy, weird hitboxes.
Yeah.
We want you to actually know where
the player to know exactly where they can stand.
So you can come in and do all your micro that, and that's basically full cover. So that unit wouldn't be spotted by a unit that was here through there. One of the things, when you're coming into a weirdly shaped building like this from the outside, you want to be able to drop that down. So yeah, a lot of this is very early. We're working on stuff to make the surroundings look nice. Sure. But here you can see you've got the exact shape of the building, you've got the context of the road.
It is a right angle triangle.
It is, there you go. So that's how this is working, and we really, there's a long way to go in terms of making this feel right and kind of getting the gameplay right in terms of assaulting all these things, but hopefully you can see exactly what the relationship between the map and those buildings is going to be.
Okay, so when this game is actually a thing and it's not in an early alpha state like this, the city that we're playing here, is that generated fresh for each player?
So yes, you will have, when you start a new game, you will get a new city.
Right.
We're currently using some open source city technology, and at the moment what it does is we'll be able to have loads and loads and loads and loads and loads of sets of geometry in the game, which have been output from that, and then it will take that and it will do all the generation on the factions, the building uses and so on. So that will probably be what we do sort of straight off. What we might do later is perhaps integrate that with the game and allow you to sort of do more on the generation side within the game, but they're kind of functionally the same. It's the output of a random city generator that can do all of this nice geometry, these sort of circular areas. Sure. We've got some weird roads here kind of going off here, and there's a sort of suburban area here. Might do some refinement in terms of, we talked about these roads here just end, so there might be some other stuff where we kind of flesh this out.
Yeah, you like certain rule sets that make the city make sense, right?
Something that's really important to me is that this isn't just a collection of boxes, and it really is a sort of logically oriented city with different areas and
Oh, you're doing like districts for like
districts.
Buildings.
I definitely want that kind of thing in there. At the moment, this is quite freeform generation.
This is strange. It's not often you like look at a turn-based strategy game and hear them talking about city design and things you would expect from like a city simulator.
Right. Well, these are the kind of things that we're starting to think about, and something that's really important to me is that the whole game plays well narratively, and it all makes sense, because we want to create that feeling of, as I said, being in a real place and making sort of real decisions that actually matter. Just a couple of things I wanted to point out on here. Factions will be able to post contracts. One of the really important things about this game, with a game of this scope, is that we didn't want we love Crusader Kings 2, it's an amazing game. We didn't want
because it is an amazing game, I absolutely agree.
We didn't want the Crusader Kings 2 sort of, what the hell do I do effect.
Right, okay, yeah.
And so in this game, you'll always have things to instantly respond to. Your assistant will ask you questions and you'll be able to do that. But also, if you're not sure what you want to do and you want to get some money, you can run these missions. That's a delivery
Sure, they're
mission.
going to give you some kind of objective to work with.
Absolutely, yeah. So that's something that's really important. You can see here we have a lot of the faction interactions happening already. They're making alliances. There's these civilian factions who represent civilian interests. So if you go around and accidentally cause loads of collateral damage, they might be upset with you. But if you kind of represent their interests, they'll be happy. They aren't militarized. So there'll be some factions that you might have to consider what they want in the game, but they won't actually directly challenge you or anything like that. So there's a lot of different stuff going on there. And as I mentioned, this huge list of factions, there'll be about 7 or 8 major factions that will all be involved with trying to get these relics, this loot from the incursions and building themselves up. And you'll really be able to decide kind of who you want to support ideologically.
The puzzle tossers.
Yeah, you want puzzles to win. Yep. That's going to be possible. I think we're going to have to make a special ending where the city is a delivery utopia with drone highways of parcels being delivered in wonderful.
I think you sort of do.
Right.
The name's too good.
So that's it.
Yeah. The tech sounds incredible and exciting, and very different to the first Frozen Synapse. So I guess we'll continue to watch this grow over the next. When do you actually think Frozen Synapse 2 will be in a finished state? I know, in very broad strokes, have you got an idea?
It's an interesting one because what we're hoping to do is get a beta out in 2 or 3 months.
Right.
And then people will be able to see the scope of the game for themselves. And then we really want to be dictated by that. So we want to see what's the scope that people want. Is there sort of sufficient interest in the game for it to go on and have loads and loads and loads of city features? Or is it a thing where people like certain aspects of it and they want that to be really polished and they want it out by a certain time?
Sure.
So we can adapt to what that is. We have been aiming for the end of this year, but as with these things, it's a very ambitious project.
Sure.
Things can spiral out of control at a moment's notice. So we know that people know that, and we want to be really open with it. We are trying to be engaged with our community and sort of talk to them about features that they want in the game and explore things like that. So there's just, because of this scope, it's kind of hard.
I had a feeling that question was going to be hard to ask. Do you know how the beta is going to be handled? Do you know where you're doing that? Is that something you're handling independently, or are you going through like an early access program?
So with the discussion of to whether sort of split that up into tiers, whether we do a smaller thing before we do early access, or we kind of come out with early access, that's kind of up in the air right now. But it will be a similar structure to previous games. It will be pre-order, and then you'll get the beta as it is, and kind of be able to get on with playing. And that means that we want to deliver something quite polished. People will know from our previous games, Frozen Cortex and the original Frozen Synapse, what we try and do for that beta spec, and we think people are used to that. We've generally had a very good response to it in the past. So it'll be something that's playable, that's fun to play right now, that will be worth the money that you pay for it, and that's how we'll do that. So we'll see. We'll have a little closed period first with some sort of select people to just
see how much they break it.
Exactly.
Okay.
Get all the breaking happen. But there's a lot to come, but hopefully you can see what our plans are, and we want people to be excited about some of the ideas.
Cool. Well, thank you, Paul, and I appreciate showing it to us on the show floor in this early state. It looks really cool. The tech, it sort of reminds me a little bit of listening to the No Man's Sky talk about their game, and it just sort of, the way in which the game is making itself is sort of intimidating. It's incredible.
There's a lot to deal with, and it's really amazing to work with someone like Ian, who's our lead designer and programmer, who is able to keep all this stuff in his head. He is at home right now, beavering away on the design, trying to unify all these elements together, and I'm really excited to see what he does.
Excellent. Cool. Well, thank you for your time, man.
Fantastic.
So you've got...
Can you go in that building as well? That looks like it might just be scenery.
Yeah, I'm not sure. No. I am cursing myself for these 1 points of damage here and there.
I need to play Worms with you more often.
But it ruins my turn.
Okay, I'm going to try and get the health.
Nice.